A giant red wave. Giant red wave.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. I'm recording this video on the 6th, you're probably going to see it on the 7th, and that means the midterm election is tomorrow. It's crazy how fast time flies, but all the speculation, the anticipation, it all ends tomorrow. We've analyzed every aspect, every little bit of data for months now, not just the last 2 months before the election. We've been doing midterm analysis for at least 6 to 8 months. And I think we have a pretty good understanding of what's most likely to occur, what's probably going to happen here. And so I'm going to do what's gotten me in trouble before. I'm going to be doing kind of a quasi-prediction video. All the final polling data before election day is being released. And I have to say it's painting a very, very pretty picture, a pretty picture indeed. And so we're going to look through all of this data. I'm going to give you guys my final Senate prediction a day ahead of the 2022 midterm election. And at the end of this, when it's all said and done, I'm either going to look like a massive genius, or it's not going to age well and I'll look like a complete dummy. Either way, let's get into it. It's going to be a good time. So let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so like I told you, we have all of the final polling data from some of our favorite pollsters being released, and it's looking real good. We've got final polling from Emerson College, the Arizona Senate. Blake Masters, according to Emerson, leads Mark Kelly in the head-to-head matchup following Libertarian candidate Mark Victor's exit from the race and his crucial endorsement of Blake Masters a week ahead of the election. Mehmet Oz takes the lead and maintains his lead against John Fetterman in Pennsylvania. Adam Laxalt extends his lead to 51% against Democrat incumbent Catherine Cortez Masto in Nevada. And Ron Johnson in Wisconsin maintains his very strong lead against Mandela Barnes, which is not surprising to anyone. Then if we take a look at insider advantage for the Georgia Senate, Herschel Walker leads by 3 points against Raphael Warnock. Mehmet Oz maintains a healthy lead against John Fetterman. Blake Masters is slightly ahead of Mark Kelly, but it's a statistical tie. And keep in mind, this insider advantage poll did not omit Mark Victor. If you take a look right over here, Mark Victor pulled 2% of the vote. The majority of those percentage points likely to go in that Blake Masters column. So I'd say this poll is showing Blake Masters with a healthy lead. In Nevada Senate, very similar to Emerson, Adam Laxalt leading by 6% against Catherine Cortez Masto. Then we have final Arizona polling by People's Pundit showing Blake Masters ahead by 1, Kari Lake ahead by 4. And so the data here is absolutely clear. In the most crucial, the most important races, in all the toss-up races, Republicans have either ran away with the race or they're maintaining a decent lead. And this includes Blake Masters at the final seconds of the game, leapfrogging ahead Mark Kelly and taking that lead in Arizona. And like I've maintained since the start, the moment Kari Lake started to really get ahead of Katie Hobbs in the polls is when my position on Arizona changed completely. I think the polls are showing a relatively close race between Mark Kelly and Blake Masters, but I think when push comes to shove, when it really comes down to it, the Kari Lake effect I think is going to carry Blake Masters across the finish line. I think he's going to outperform the polls admirably. And so this final set of data makes me even more bullish on my prediction. Here we go, let's get into the fun part of the video. Let's head to 270towin.com with the 2022 Senate election interactive map. And this is where I currently stand. There's only 5 states that are really in contention. We got Pennsylvania, we got Georgia, we got Arizona, we got Nevada. I think Republicans are going to cleanly win all 4 of those states. Mehmet Oz wins that Senate seat in Pennsylvania. I think Herschel Walker is likely to win in Georgia, although it might end up being a runoff election. Not sure if he'll win with above 50% of the vote, but there's a good chance that he does. I honestly think Herschel Walker might win decisively. I think Blake Masters is going to squeak by in Arizona. I think it's going to be a really, really close race. Mark Kelly has done a great job branding himself as a moderate Democrat, even though his voting track record is totally in line with Joe Biden and the rest of these leftoid nutcases. But branding, of course, is key in politics, and I think Nevada is going to be the biggest shocker. I think Nevada is likely to safe Republican. The data has been suggesting a massive lead for Adam Laxalt, and I really do think it's going to materialize. I think Nevada's on the verge of becoming a strong red state. And the one wild card that we have here is the Senate race in New Hampshire between Democrat incumbent Maggie Hassan and Republican challenger Don Bolduc. I'm rating this one a toss-up because frankly, it could go either way. I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen here. But with that said, if there was a gun pointed to my head and I had to make a prediction, I would go out on a limb here here and say that Don Bolduc is going to upset the Democrat establishment, and he's going to take this one home for the GOP, and I think that specifically because of undecided leaning voters. New poll shows Don Bolduc holding 1-point lead over Maggie Hassan in New Hampshire Senate race with undecided leaners. I think when it comes down to it, independents and undecided voters are going to dictate the direction of a lot of these key races, and I think in the current election environment, there's a higher chance that that benefits Republicans than it does Democrats. But honestly, come to think about it, the New Hampshire polls being this close might actually be the greatest indicator. It's kind of hard to believe that the Senate race in New Hampshire is mirroring the same results that we're seeing in Arizona. If anything, it makes you think that if the New Hampshire race is this close, then Arizona might be an absolute landslide for the GOP.
Bye! Have a beautiful time!
There's certainly a lot of things that seem confusing, surprising, and my default position here is that if anything seems surprising, if anything doesn't make sense or it seems like an outlier, it doesn't really make sense with historical trends, doesn't fall in line with historical trends rather, then most likely we can conclude that they're probably underestimating GOP support. So the prediction in the end here is 53 seats for Republicans, 46 for Democrats, and 1 seat in toss-up territory, which I would argue is tilt Republican. So I guess the end prediction is 53 to 54 seats for Republicans here. I think they hold a strong majority in the Senate, and that puts Republicans in a very, very strong position moving forward. Republicans are about to build a massive, impenetrable wall around Joe Biden's agenda. No more reckless Democrat spending, no more socialism. The end of Joe Biden's legislative agenda is here. Everything seems to be signaling that outcome, and actually the last little piece of data here that's really cementing my position is the most recent Gallup poll, which questions voters. Do you consider yourself a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent? With independent leaners, 48% consider themselves Republicans, 42% Democrat. That's an R+6 lead. And that's to add on to the argument that I was making earlier. Independent, undecided voters are going to make the decision here. There's some buffer room here in every single race. There's undecided voters in every state. None of the data is showing 51% for one candidate and 49% for the other. It's all 48 to 44 with missing percentage points, meaning some people have not decided. On election day, when those people make up their minds, I think it's going to split. I think it's going to break for Republicans quite significantly. And all of these close races are going to end up going in the Republican column. And it might be so significant that Herschel Walker might get above 50%. Based on all the information that we have tirelessly analyzed over the last however many months, based on everything we've seen, based on trends, based on voter registration trends, white suburban women, Latino voters, the working class, based on all of the trends that we have seen thus far, based on the enthusiasm gap and based on independents breaking for Republicans and Joe Biden's dismal approval rating with independents, this is where I stand. 53 to 54 seats for the Republicans, and I think that's a pretty safe prediction. But of course, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Am I right on the money? Is it all copium? Am I going to be completely wrong? Are there other factors? Let me know, and also let me know what you think's going to happen. Let's get those predictions out there. That's the video. Thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you on the next one.